was about the band wanting to play some more intimate shows and get closer in with the audience and really interact with them a bit more. Playing all these kind of large stadium shows, you can often end up being a long way away from the audience, and you have a big barrier around everything, and some guys are right at the back of the stadium. So all the kind of B stages and playing on the other side of the stadium and being down these thrusts is about trying to get closer to the audience. So this was really trying to get away from that and turn it around. And also the album itself, Ghost Story, is a lot more of a kind of personal thing for Chris and the band. So Misty, the set designer, had already built a model of kind of what they wanted it to look like in the round, which had some big flats around the side, kind of theatrical flats that they were going to use to project on. And so immediately that already had some things set that they wanted to ask questions about in terms of projection, and so that's where I got bought into it. And that was a good 4 or 5 months before we shot the DVD, so there was a lot of planning stages. You fight that battle of decreasing the wall sizes and then having less people inside and then changing the kind of environment, or making it saying, yes, I want 2,000 people inside, and then to fit 2,000 people inside, you make enough seating for them, and then the walls are dictated by that, and then you've got your your projection width, and you need to then work out how much distance you need based on that, and then so your projectors grow outside of that, and then you've got your venue size. But the band didn't want to play anywhere like in a basketball arena or a stadium, anything like that. They wanted an interesting space. And we talked about outdoor spaces, and we talked about theatres and places like the Roundhouse and that. But they're just too restrictive in terms of projection distances for doing projection in the round, because we need obviously equilateral spacing and kind of angles that aren't too acute and things like that. So it came from that, really, was looking at lens types and options. XL Video have a load of the DZ21Ks from the wall, and once I'd kind of got keen to use the Panasonic lens ranges, you seem to have the right lens ranges for what we were looking for, basically. So yeah, up in the roof there, that's a 4K projection split. Each one of these separate sections is a discrete output, so that would have been one projector here, and then there would have been 2 projectors for each outside bit. So for each segment of the roof, it was 3, and then 3 times 8 is where you get your 24 projectors from. So it's a 20K projector, but a 21K projector, but you've cut a section out of it, so you're not going to get the full 20K brightness. But the idea being that each one's sending a 1920 1080 full HD output, and we try and get as much of that as possible in order to make them all look nice and equal and get the same light output out of each projector. The size of the 21K, the DZ21, was a massive factor in it. It seemed to be a similar size in terms of footprint as some other projectors, but actually when you look at it, the body size inside the frame was a lot less. And also we ended up putting them amongst the seats, and the width of the projector when it's set next to someone was a big factor. Having already spent a long time working with the Panasonics, we already knew how the unit size was, and the frame around the outside worked excellently for us in terms of being able to rig it at slightly different angles and using different clamps and ratchet straps and whatever. But so based on that, we already knew that we could rig the projectors at any angle we liked. And so when I started looking at doing the Albert Hall in a visualizer program in the AI media server, we could tilt the projectors to any angle required in order to fill the space we needed. But the reality of that isn't always so, because then when you have to look at where you're going to put the projectors, and the Royal Albert Hall is very restrictive in terms of rigging points. The day before they were quite worried, and I had to say to them personally, don't worry, it's going to look really good, you're going to be amazed. And they were like, okay, I hope you're right, sort of thing. So they went away, and that night we got into the real projection lineups and tweaked everything as perfect we could. And so the next day when the band came in, we had it all set up how it should have looked, with the lights off and the projections on, and that's when Chris obviously called me up and said he liked it. Thank God.